Good morning, Facebook Live. So check this out. I am on day 6 of my water fast. Wow, it's been a while since I've done a full fast like this, and this is actually my first time doing it with water. But anyways, so yesterday I did a training on inside of the Facebook group, and I basically talked about everything that I could have think of that really helped me on my journey to creating my, what I call my success story, as far as, taking control of my health. Basically all the things that I started finding out that I needed to do in order to, take control of my health, like, get my energy back, what I did to lose weight, what I did to get rid of my brain fog, all of these things. And I think that this training is really going to help a lot of you. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, I recommend that you do. And also, I've updated the article that I have on how to get your energy back. So I have the link for that in the description of this live video. So I highly recommend that you check that out. I'm going to be expanding on it, and it's going to be part of the book that I am writing. So I would really love to hear some feedback, from you guys. I'll probably be doing a live sometime during the weekend to show you a little bit of my progress. Maybe do a little bit of Q&A and whatnot. But anyway, so today I really just want to talk a little bit about my experience so far, with doing this fast, and start off by saying that, first of all, doing a water fast is scary. For me, it takes a lot of courage to really go on a fast, and not just personal, like internal battles and beliefs and things like that, but also from external people all around me. They are yes, they are shocked, but you know what, I am feeling great. The first 3-4 days are really the hardest. That's when you feel the most amount of toxins basically leaving your body, and so you're practically being exposed to a lot of the toxicity that's inside of you as it's going on its way out. So that's really the toughest thing, and then after that, it becomes more of a mental battle where you're just, I don't know, I guess. I'm not hungry, but especially like being around work and watching people eat, obviously, like there's like a little bit of that feelings like, like I wish I could be eating something, but I can feel that my body is truly healing itself right now. I know that during fasting, there's different things that trigger that kick on. One of them is glutathione, the master antioxidant of the body. Basically kicks in. I also know, from brewing beer, that when food is basically gone, all the good bacteria, the probiotic yeast and bacteria, they basically clean up the body. And it's interesting to actually experience this and feel this, as I'm going through it, because I haven't had food in since I started last Sunday, so I'm basically on day 6 of doing the fast. And I can tell that there's stuff that's being cleaned up. There's basically, my gut flora is practically eating, because every now and then I get a little bit of gas. But if I don't have any food that I've eaten, so you kind of like, you start to connect the dots and say, hey, like, there's a lot of basically, bacteria kind of like fighting, going up the food chain, I guess, if you will. And who knows who's eating who, but basically everything's cleaning itself up. And there's a lot of stem cells, a lot of basically rejuvenation going on. And that's really what you should be looking forward to, is once you start to get to the point where you feel like you're rejuvenating, like you're actually getting good restful sleep. I mean, you can feel a difference when you go to bed on a full stomach. You don't really get good sleep. If you go to bed on an empty stomach, you get really good sleep. And so for me, I mean, it's not just an empty stomach from, not eating close to bedtime, but, this is day 6 of no solid food, nothing, basically nothing but water. So I am actually getting really, really, really good sleep, and I can tell that my body is actually starting to recover. I've probably lost a little bit of weight. I can tell, my clothes are starting to fit a little bit loose, but I'm not doing this for weight loss. I'm actually hoping not to lose too much weight during this fast. But anyways, so that's more or less, what I'm going through. This is a time for me to not be too active. It's a time for me to be really resting, to be basically recharging, basically meditating, relaxing, and just staying as still as possible, and just letting my body clean itself up and do its thing, basically. So coming out of this, and this weekend, what I'm going to be doing is preparing for my reintroduction to foods. And so I'm going to be testing out different things. Again, this phase where I'm at, like, I really just want to share this with you because I want you to see and just watch everything that I do, so that you know what's possible, so that you know what's out there, so that you know what can be done. But this is not exactly like a place to this is not really the place to start. I'm just showing you like what I this is what I really do, and basically how I got here is by everything that I share in the how to get your energy back article that I have in on my website. The foods that I'm going to be eating coming out of this, again, they're also going to be a little bit more advanced, because right now my main goal, my main priority is getting rid of any kind of yeast overgrowth that I've had, and basically helping my leaky gut. Right, that's where I am at. I'm kind of past that point of I've got enough energy, I've got enough vitality, I guess, if you will, to where now I'm really tackling the deeper issues, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this advanced stuff, which is fasting and all these things. So coming out of this, what I am going to be doing is I'm going to be focusing a lot on fermented foods, because my whole idea is to restructure my gut flora. And what that means is that I'm essentially right now reducing the amount of bad bacteria, the bad gut flora that I have, and now I'm going to have a clean slate so that I can go and increase the amount of good bacteria. Now, this is not going to be a one-time thing for me. I know that this is something that I'm going to do probably a few times until I feel that, hey, I no longer have digestive issues, because that's really where everything started for me. And this is what the training was about last night. How initially I was told that, hey, there's nothing you can do about it, you're gonna have to take hormones for the rest of your life. And so I kind of almost went down that road because I didn't know any better. But what really got me out of that was that, okay, even if that is true, I wanted to really fix my digestive issues. I was developing a lot of allergies, a lot of food allergies, and it was mostly because I couldn't digest food properly, especially protein. So I started to remove gluten. Gluten is a very hard to digest protein, so I was really if I ever ate gluten, it would like really tear me up. But it got to the point where even eating a salad was actually making me feel all bubbly and stuff like that. And then there's a lot of other things that happens when you're not digesting food properly. You're not getting the nutrients that your body needs for different functions. Functions like producing hormones, thyroid hormone, converting the thyroid hormone T4 into T3. Producing the feel-good or happy hormones like serotonin, dopamine, or the sleeping hormone melatonin. So here I am feeling like anxious and depressed, and it's all because I'm not digesting food properly. I'm also, I was also having, high cortisol levels because my adrenals were trying to source out amino acids from my own body, and the way that the body does it is it releases cortisol to break down muscle so that it can get those amino acids. But that prolonged chronic release of cortisol, results in basically a lot of stress, which leads to hair loss, dry skin, brittle nails, and that alongside with like low testosterone or lacking other nutrients like iron, ferritin, your vitamins B12, zinc, selenium, and some of these other ones. That's what tends to cause a lot of the issues. And so basically, me doing this fasting, researching my gut flora, I am looking to improve my digestion. And so you can sum up everything that I've been doing into a couple of things. Number one is basically cleaning out my body, improving my digestion, meaning I am improving my immune system. I'm strengthening my immune system. All right, vitamin D is very important to strengthen your immune system. So that's one of the first things that I started with. And then from there, it was basically dance as far as like balancing out hormones. And with that, there's all these other things that come into play. So it's not like you do one thing and it fixes everything. Now you have to like go, to different little areas of your body and say, okay, how's my liver working? How are my hormones? How's my diet? How are, do I have enough minerals? Am I getting enough sleep? There's all these little things that you have to start to look at, and you really just have to start, one place and then just basically build up from there. So for me, I always say that the best thing to do is to pick one thing that you can see yourself doing every day, basically something you can do consistently, long term, and then just stick to that until it becomes a habit, and then find the next thing that is really going to help you. So for me, it started with intermittent fasting. I knew that intermittent fasting was kind of like a mild way to clean up my body, get my hormone production up, and also help my immune system, right? And I did it with the green juice, and the green juice that I was drinking, Organifi, has a lot of good Ayurvedic herbs like ashwagandha, turmeric. It has chlorella, spirulina. There's a lot of nutrients in there that I know are also helping me to remove certain toxins from my body, and also help me detox my liver and help me prepare for these bigger, I guess, more intense detox practices. And again, the detox is just to get rid of all of the bad bacteria, which if you have any sort of autoimmune condition, that's practically what that is. It's, to me, an autoimmune condition basically means that you lack good bacteria, and or you probably have some sort of bad bacteria, in your gut. And, with coming from like the brewing world and understanding yeast and bacteria, like this is why like everything that I do just makes so much sense to me, and I am willing to try it, even though it is stuff that growing up I never thought that I would ever be doing anything like this. I grew up just like everyone else, eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Anything that you put in front of me, that was it. I would wake up, and my favorite breakfast, I used to basically eat either oatmeal, or I would eat a ham and cheese omelet, maybe some waffles with coffee and orange juice, and that was basically how I grew up. And then it just got to the point where I started to get a lot of sugar cravings, especially because as a home brewer, drinking a lot of beer, so alcohol tends to do this with you. And then just if you start eating sugar or any kind of carbohydrates with alcohol, that tends to lead to yeast overgrowth. And so I remember my sugar cravings just started to increase to where every time that I would eat, I would crave something sweet right afterwards. And so over time, like I just kind of like was giving in towards like, oh, maybe it's just just a little bit. And even if I ate like a fruit, I was still eating sugar, and that was still feeding all of these sugar feeding, I guess, negative gram bacteria is what you would consider them, although not necessarily all of them. But basically all the bad bacteria that tend to release a lot of toxicity in the body. So changing the diet, changing the foods that you eat can definitely help. Although if you really, really want to reduce the amount of bad bacteria, the best way that I have found to do that is basically fasting. And so you can start changing out your diet to slowly reduce, the amount of bad bacteria in your gut. But if you want to speed it up a little bit, then you're going to have to take on a little bit of fasting. And you can start with intermittent fasting to basically, do some of that. And if you don't want, and even before intermittent fasting, you can start out just by, starting out your morning with green juice, right? You can drink a little bit of green juice in the morning right before you eat your breakfast. And even if you don't do a full 6 hours of intermittent fasting, you can do maybe 1 hour or 2 hours, and that's better than not doing anything at all. You can start to change out your your meals to where some of your meals are more detoxifying and nourishing than they are, flavorful. And that's really the hardest thing about this, is that, when when you think about the things that you have to do, you may look at it and be like, well, I don't know if I can ever like just give up food, because like I personally did not want to give up food whatsoever. And even coming out of this, I'm going to have to basically figure out how I'm going to reintroduce foods and at what level am I going to go. So my plan is to go through a lot of basically fermented foods, just because I need to restructure my gut flora. So I'm going to go through that phase, and then I'm going to basically move into a ketogenic type of diet. But for me, it's going to be more of a plant-based ketogenic diet, mixed in with a lot of probiotics and live foods. And then after that, then I'll be able to, maybe reintroduce some of the other foods that I feel like I, may be able to eat and or want. Because for me, I'm a foodie, and I think that eating, there's different reasons to be eating. But for me, number one, the priority has become to really just nourish my body. So essentially, I'm looking at food as like, okay, what does my body like really need? Okay, not so much what I want to eat, but what does my body really need? When you break it down, you need a lot of minerals more than anything, a lot of water. That's really what's going to improve your vitality. That's really what's going to strengthen your immune system. After that, you're going to need other nutrients, other vitamins, and you'd be surprised to see how good the body is at functioning just based off premium fuels, which are ketones, which are basically premium healthy fats. Once you get to that point, you're going to be at a completely different level. This is where a lot of elite athletes actually use to perform and to run really long races, I guess. And it's not at all what most people do. But then again, you look at most people are overweight, most people are aging really fast, and just look at their habits, look at what they do, and basically start doing the opposite. That was basically what my mantra, or I guess what my philosophy became. And so like the more I see it, I'm telling you, when I was 28, I looked and I felt older than I do now, right? And this is basically about 7 years after I was developing a beer belly. I was aging faster and faster. And now, as I'm starting to take better care of my health and my diet, I'm able to see, with, my friends, I've seen them basically grow older and older, and I can tell who's taking care of themselves and who isn't. So I'm 35 right now, and so it's interesting to see, because I think this is the age where a lot of people kind of go through that phase of really fast aging. And so even if they haven't been experiencing, a lot of these same issues, I have friends that actually are starting to, be diagnosed with hypothyroidism, and are starting to like feel, debilitating fatigue, brain fog, and all of these things going on. And it's just interesting, because I can try to talk to them, but I realize how far I've come, and how different, and how drastically and like radically different my lifestyle is now than when I first started, before I knew a lot of the things that I know now. And so I think that's really the hardest part, is that, what I am doing. And I know that I realize that a lot of the things that I share, it's not common, and you're probably not going to hear it from from many people. But then again, that's probably why I'm one of the few people who's actually getting results, and actually taking really control of their health. So that's, I don't know, that's the reason why I like to share this stuff, and that's the reason why I like to see other people. I know Lisa, she had her own experience where she got her energy back. I know Nadia, and there's a few other people that have been messaging me, and I know that they're following, and they're doing a lot of things on their own. They're doing their own research, and they're starting to realize that, hey, this is just how the body works, and we can either fight it, or we can just embrace it, learn it, and basically learn to navigate life and adapt basically to a new lifestyle. So that's really it. Change is hard, but I think that if you have a goal and you really start to give that goal a priority, that's what is going to allow you to make a lot of these changes. For me, getting my energy back was a big priority. I did not want to spend the rest of my life laying on a couch, not able to get out of bed. I wanted to be active. I wanted to be able to hike, paddleboard, and do a lot of these things. And I couldn't do that unless I made some changes in my diet. And so that for me was kind of like the carrot that I dangled in front of me, so that, friends that invite me out to go out to eat and basically live, I guess, their lifestyle, I had to basically make a priority and said, you know what, this is a time for me to take care of myself, to focus on me, to work on me. This is basically self-love, essentially, where I'm like, hey, I'm taking care of myself. I will see you guys maybe in 6 months, however long this phase is going to last, before I'm able to basically go back into a little bit more of a normal lifestyle, although it's not going to be completely normal, because I'm going to be continuing to do a lot of cleanses and things like that, just because I know that's what's helping me improve my health. And so I'm trying to share as much as I can with you. So for those of you who are brand new following me, and you want to know how did I get started, that article that I just wrote on my blog post, I just expanded that. It's how to get your energy back. I have the link in the description of this live video. You should go check that out. I'm going to continue to actually add to that and basically branch off from that, because there's a lot of topics that I need to talk about, like vitamin D. How do you use up vitamin D? There's things like you need calcium absorption for it, so you need to find calcium for that. There's different ways to improve your hormones, to improve hormone production, balance out hormones. There's a lot more to talk about as far as detoxing and a lot of these different areas. And so that is just like a good foundation though to get started, so that you can see, okay, this is basically everything that has helped me get to the point where I'm at right now. And I'll tell you what, right now, like what I'm doing is more advanced. I can tell you that before doing this fast, I felt pretty much normal. I mean, I was for the most part able to function, able to go out and eat and not really get torn out by food, and basically be able to enjoy life. But I'm just at a point in my life where I realize, hey, I know that deep down, like there's still some unresolved issues, and I'm just trying to solve that and basically figure that out. Even though I could have just lived my life and be okay with, where I'm at, just like pretty much everyone else seems to be okay, even though they're really not. I want to really explore and feel what my body can do if I just feed it the only like premium fuels, and basically I'm learning my own body essentially. So that's the journey that you're seeing me go through, and I'm writing a lot of this in my book. So that's the other thing. This weekend I'm going to be releasing chapter 3. So if you're not on my email newsletter and you want to read the book as I release the chapters, I have the link in the description of this video. Chapter 3 is going to be a little bit more about cleaning and sanitizing the body, basically detoxing, and it's kind of like the phase that I am on right now. So it's fitting that I'm able to experience this and write about it at the same time. So I hope you guys are enjoying everything that I am sharing so far. And hopefully after this I'll be able to talk a little bit more about more basic stuff, I guess, more things that will help some of the some of you who are just barely starting to follow me. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. I'll probably be doing a live video this weekend to do like a little bit of a Q&A and kind of see get some feedback to know more or less where you guys want me to focus on as far as topics, things that can help you out. So anyways, I'm at work, I gotta get going. You guys have a great Friday, and I'll see you guys next time.